Hello and welcome to our channel Tooth Notes. I am Dr. Garima Verma, MDS Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery, and today we will be discussing in detail about the posterior superior alveolar nerve block. We will cover all the aspects both practically and clinically of the nerve block so that it helps you to achieve good marks, answer viva questions as well as give the nerve block in your patients. So, the first and the foremost is what are the other names for a posterior superior alveolar nerve block. The first one is a tuberosity block and the second one a zygomatic block. Both the names are based upon the landmarks we would be discussing about in the next slide. So, the first and foremost we need to know what area does the posterior superior alveolar nerve block, I mean the nerve, the posterior superior alveolar nerve supplies, so that when we give a block, this area, all these areas will be anesthetized. The first one is the pulps of the maxillary first, second and the third molars, excluding the mesiobuccal root of the first molar. In 28% of the patients, this is not anesthetized. Other than that, in 72% of the patients, yes, it is anesthetized and you need not give another block. The second is the buccal alveolar process of the maxillary molars, that is the bone overlining the teeth, and the buccal periosteum is the third area anesthetized. The fourth is the buccal mucosa, which is anesthetized when you give this posterior superior alveolar nerve block. Now, moving on to the indications of the nerve block. When do you really need to give a posterior superior alveolar nerve block? The first and foremost is when you have to treat the patient in relation to the maxillary molars. Now, what are the main procedures that we do? The two main procedures are a root canal treatment and the second one is extraction. Except this, there are other procedures as well, placing any implant, doing a sinus lift, any periodontal surgery, any bone grafting, anything else that is done in this region, you will have to give a posterior superior alveolar nerve block. The next indication is during an acute infection when a supraperiosteal injection is contraindicated. We do not normally give infiltrations in case of when there is an abscess or something, an acute infection, because the infiltrations, they do not work. So we need to give a block. So posterior superior alveolar nerve block is indicated when the supraperiosteal injection did not work. When you have already given a supraperiosteal injection but it did not work and you need a good anesthesia, so what you will do is you will give a posterior superior alveolar nerve block. What are the contraindications for the nerve block? We have all been told by our seniors, our staff, that be careful while giving a PSA, do not cause a hematoma. So the most important contraindication is in hemophiliac patients, as they are more prone to hematomas, so we need to avoid giving a posterior superior alveolar nerve block. It is not that you can cause a hematoma in all the patients. If all your landmarks are properly, you remember the landmarks and you're injecting the needle at a proper place, you will definitely not cause a hematoma. We will be discussing about it in the few next slides. So what are the advantages of a posterior superior alveolar nerve block? It is completely atraumatic. It has a high success rate, about 95 to 98% success rate is there with a posterior superior alveolar nerve block. Yes, it just needs a single injection and less amount of anesthesia administered. You just need to give a 0.9 to 1.8 ml of anesthesia, which is really a very less amount of anesthesia. The next thing is disadvantage. What is the disadvantage? The first and the foremost, hematoma. If your landmarks are not correct, you are going to cause a hematoma in case you inject in the vessels present there. No bony landmark. Yes, there are no bony landmarks for this. So it is a little difficult sometimes in the beginning to give a posterior superior alveolar nerve block. The second injection required for the patients in 28% of the patients. Where this doesn't work is mesiobuccal root of the first molar. So what you need to give here is either a periodontal ligament injection or a supraperiosteal nerve block. Next is what needle size is required. A 25 gauge short needle is what is mainly required. Now a short needle is approximately length of 20 mm, but the whole needle will not go inside, only 16 mm of the needle will go inside and 4 mm will be outside. So it has to be, you have to be careful. In case you do not have a short needle and you are using a long needle, for the long needle, the length of a long needle is 32 mm, and out of this only half the length of the needle will be going inside and the rest half would be outside. So this will prevent the hematoma to occur, as the needle should not go completely and hit any vessel present in that region. Next is the area of insertion. So mucobuccal fold is above the maxillary, second molars is where the injection has to be given. The target area is obviously the posterior superior alveolar nerve block, and the orientation of the bone, of the needle is towards the bone, but do not touch the bone. You do not have to touch the bone. It's just the orientation of the bevel. Now, as we read landmarks, the first landmark is the concavity. This is the concavity, the mucobuccal fold and the concavity. So here this is the premolar, first, second. Approximately with respect to the second molar, you're going to inject your injection. This is the first landmark. The second landmark is the zygomatic process of maxilla. Now let me draw the maxilla for you to make it more clear what exactly will be the zygomatic process. I know you all have read the osteology, but still, this is the zygomatic process of the maxilla, and this is the second landmark for our posterior superior alveolar nerve block. The third landmark is the infratemporal surface of the maxilla. Now this is the infratemporal surface of the maxilla. This is our third landmark. The landmarks are a very important question. The fourth landmark is the anterior border of the mandible, the ramus of the mandible, and the coronoid. The coronoid, not the condyle, remember this. Coronoid is the landmark. The fifth landmark is the maxillary tuberosity. Therefore, we call it the tuberosity block. Now, where exactly does the operator stands when you are giving a posterior superior alveolar nerve block? Now, this is for a right-handed person, and if a right-handed person is giving a left posterior superior alveolar nerve block, the position is 10 o'clock, and for the right posterior superior alveolar nerve block, it is 8 o'clock position. So, you just have to remember it and stand accordingly. Here we will discuss about how the position of the needle is upwards, inwards and backwards. So upwards, inwards and backwards, but this 3 is just in one position. You do not have to give you do not have to move your needle in 3 different directions. As you start giving the nerve block, you will get used to giving it in just one direction. Now upwards is 45 degrees to the occlusal plane. Now this is the occlusal plane, this is the 45 degrees to the occlusal plane. Now the inwards medially towards the midline, that is at 45 degree angle again to the occlusal plane, and backwards, that is posteriorly 45 degree angle to the long axis of the second molar. So a 45 degree angle is what is required for all the 3 things. This again is a very important viva question. Now moving on, what next we need to do is aspirate. This is one of the most important step clinically which you have to do. You will aspirate not once but twice. If first time your aspiration is negative, you will rotate the needle a little bit and then again you will aspirate, and then you will start injecting the local anesthesia if the aspiration is negative, and you will inject 0.9 to 1.8 ml over a time period of 30 seconds to 60 seconds. Now during this period you will again aspirate. At least once you need to aspirate to check whether your needle is not in the vessel once again, in case it would have moved a little bit. After giving the injection, you will withdraw the needle. make the needle safe, wait for 3 to 5 minutes, and there won't be any subjective signs as the patient cannot reach his tongue or anything there. It's a little posterior region, the patient will not feel anything. It will be absence of, or everything will be, numb, but the patient won't feel it. So how you have to check it? Only objective signs are there. So you just take a periosteal elevator, or in case you're doing a root canal or something else, you can take a probe and just prick in that region and see if your patient is having any pain. In case there is no pain at all, your block is working and it's totally fine. You can go ahead with your procedure. Failure of anesthesia is another one of the most important things we need to know. If the needle is too laterally, you will have to redirect the needle medially. If the needle is not high, you have to redirect the needle superiorly, and if the needle is posterior, then you will have to withdraw the needle. Now, in case your needle is too posterior, it is the reason for hematoma. There are two vessels which are injured. Yes, maxillary artery is very less likely to be injured, but it is a very important viva question once again, and you need to remember the maxillary artery. So the pterygoid plexus of veins and the maxillary artery are the two things that you need to answer in your viva, which causes hematoma in case you inject into any of the two vessels. Now what happens is when you inject in the vessel, it starts bleeding. So there is no place for the pressure for you to apply the pressure. So the swelling starts increasing, and there is nothing you can do except wait. And when the extravascular blood causes a pressure on the vessel, and the pressure of the extravascular blood is more than that of the intravascular blood, that is when the bleeding stops and the hematoma stops increasing in size. So what you have to do is just nothing. You have to assure the patient that it is yes, it is not aesthetic, it is a temporary thing and it is going to go, but it will take around 10 to 15 days to go. So you have to tell the patient that the patient need not worry about this. One thing what we missed here is when you are giving the injection medially, sometimes what happen is the mandibular nerve is located a little, I'm so sorry, when you are giving the injection laterally, the mandibular nerve is located a little in that same region, the mandibular nerve. So what happens is you inject this mandibular nerve and this causes anesthesia of the mandibular nerve, and the patient will start feeling the whatever side you are giving, the lower mandibular region of the face also numb, and the patient might ask you that he cannot feel that side. So you just need to be clear about it, and you just need to know what has happened. So in the next slide we would be discussing in detail about I would be demonstrating it to you on the skull how you need to give a posterior superior alveolar nerve block in your patients. And for the viva questions, you can visit our Instagram page Tooth Notes, and you will get a lot of viva questions on posterior superior alveolar nerve block, whatever you need to know. Now I would be demonstrating it to you on the skull how you will have to give a posterior superior alveolar nerve block. I am really sorry, the skull is a little old, so there are no molars in either of the two regions. So I will be just telling you how you need to give the block. Now the patient should be sitting at a 45-degree angle to the floor of the floor. So what you need to do is, this is your forefinger. You will insert your forefinger here. This is the zygomatic process of the maxilla, and you will be touching the zygomatic process of the maxilla going from the bicuspid region, that is the premolars. Now you will ask the patient to close the mouth a little. You will rotate your finger. You will retract the cheeks and still be in the same region. Now this finger is at a 45-degree angle to the occlusal plane. You will take your needle and you will bisect this from the bicuspid region. The nail should be bisected and you will inject in the mucobuccal fold. Before injecting, obviously you will aspirate twice as we had already discussed, and then this injection will take 30 to 60 seconds and you will again aspirate in between. After that, you will just withdraw the needle and make the needle safe. I hope you guys understood how you need to give a posterior superior alveolar nerve block. In case of any doubts, you can write in the comment section and ask anything you want to ask, and we would be more than happy to help you. Please subscribe to our channel Tooth Notes and like and share the video. Thank you so much.